This is Amanda from the 36 LD Democrats. We're interviewing Carol Rava for Seattle School Board. Carol, I'll leave it over to you for your introduction.
Great. Thank you, 36th. Again, I'm Carol Rava. I'm running for Seattle Public Schools School Board from District 7, which is the southeast part of the city. I have a lifelong commitment to education. I started volunteering in high school, went on to receive my master's in education policy, and have worked for numerous nonprofits in both K-12 and higher education over the last 25 plus years, working to improve quality, access, and equity in education. Improving education for those furthest from educational justice is my life's work. And it's not just about my own kids, though I am a parent to 3 and a step parent to 2, all 5 of whom have attended Seattle Public Schools. I still have a stepdaughter enrolled at Franklin High School, but my youngest graduated from Garfield this past year. I am running for Seattle Public Schools because Seattle deserves schools that work for all families. And right now, too many families are saying that the schools are not working. And we see that in enrollment decline of about 10% over the last 5 years, but even more telling, the percent of 5-year-olds, the percent of families with 5-year-olds enrolling in Seattle Public Schools is down to 54% by the district's own data. And that's down 25% in the last decade. The research on or why parents are opting out is also from Seattle Public Schools. Parents are dissatisfied with both the academics and the safety in Seattle Public Schools. 44% of high schoolers are on track for college level math. In my district, it's 27%. And school safety is an issue throughout the district. Certainly, Garfield has been in the news, and at my son's graduation this year, we mourned 2 of his classmates, one of whom was murdered on his campus. Oh, I'm going to end and just say
Yes.
that every student deserves a safe, welcoming environment and challenging academics with supports. And that's what I'm going to work toward.
Thank you. Anita will ask our first question.
We would like to know more of your why and understand what unique qualifying experiences you bring to this role and how this informs how you will govern.
Great. Um, I am running both because, as I said, both as a parent and as a community member, I've been dissatisfied with the course of the district over the last number of years. I also feel like what we need in school board leadership is what I can bring. We need people who have managed large budgets. I have worked for Seattle Public Schools. I have been a part of the budgeting process there. I currently manage a $150 million budget. And because I'm committed to bringing financial expertise, I, on my own dollar, enrolled in a certificate in K-12 finance through Georgetown University's Center for Edunomics. And so I have completed 2 full days of in-person training, and I have 12 hours of instruction left over the following 2 months. So I bring the financial expertise the board needs. I also understand the issues. I've been working on issues of educational quality and equity for 25 plus years. So I bring sort of the subject matter knowledge. And finally, I've managed and led at a high level in systems. And so I understand how to work on a board, a governance board, and also how to work with a leader, like the superintendent of a large system.
Great, thank you. Anita will also ask our second question.
Seattle Public Schools has set an ambitious goal to operate on 100% zero carbon electricity by 2027, as outlined in their clear energy resolution. While significant planning and initial steps have been undertaken, the district faces challenges in meeting this target. What steps will you take to meet the target?
Yeah, so I really appreciate this question. I didn't have I have a full-time job. I got the questions yesterday, so I will say I did a cursory analysis of this, but I really do appreciate the focus on clean energy. From what I can gather, the district, as you said, had an initial commission, but there hasn't been a lot of follow through. And there's not a lot of transparency about what follow through there has been. So one of the primary responsibilities of the school board is to hold the district accountable for its goals. I would want to see reporting, sort of an annual report. It looks like there's supposed to be some of this, but I couldn't find it online in sort of the time that I had. But an annual report that looks at the progress towards the energy conversion, the work in the buildings. I have been involved with the Schools First, which is the independent sort of fundraiser for the building capital campaigns. And I know that a lot of work has gone into ensuring that contract bids and building are energy efficient, but I'd love to see transparency around that. Can we have a reporting that makes it sort of like an energy audit, but that is very digestible for the public? So I'd like to see that. Same with on the transportation. What does it look like to convert the fleet? I know that's very expensive. So what kind of progress is being made? And I did appreciate that in my read, there's quite a focus on student engagement. And I've talked to a number of students who wish that in their buildings, recycling and composting were more available. So I would like to see those. And again, sort of transparency around the progress.
Great, thank you. And Anita will also ask our third question.
Seattle Public Schools are facing a budget crisis. What are practical and tangible steps you are taking to solve this problem?
Yeah, so there are two, with any budget, there are two sides of the equation. There's revenue and expenses. So just a brief piece on revenue first. I already mentioned that the district faces declining enrollment, and that is not just because there are fewer young people in Seattle. It's because families are choosing to not send their students to Seattle Public Schools. So I want to be a part of a school board that makes a commitment that we are going to have schools that are attractive and appealing to all families. I think growing our enrollment absolutely has to be part of our long-term budget solution. It does not solve the problem tomorrow. But I do think on the revenue side, we need to look at enrollment in addition to continuing to advocate for full funding, in particularly for special education and transportation at the state level. On the expense side, the district needs to outline what are the budget savings options, not just come up with here's our idea, we're going to put this out there. We need to have sort of a list of the options to say that can provide some savings, and we need to show the impact, including any disproportionate impacts to parts of the city or specific populations. And then we need to bring our labor and other critical partners to the table and talk through those options. What are the trade-offs we're willing to make, and who will be most affected? But those would be the steps that I would take. Finally, I want to say that I do think that the district, because the current school board has gotten rid of the finance committee, which I would want to restore, I think that the district, when there's a new board, should absolutely get a third-party audit of the finances. And that can either be from the state auditor, the state OSPI, or the educational service district. But I think we need some total transparency since the board has not had it.
Thank you. And our fourth and final question will also be asked by Anita.
In a time of federal hostility towards cities and counties like ours, a focus of this hostility has been public education, compounded by ongoing challenges at a state level. New initiatives are being filed to undermine civil rights in our schools. How do you anticipate navigating and leading when we face complex and dynamic challenges to our civil rights, laws, funding, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, this is super troubling. There was a piece on KUOW just yesterday about some of the initiatives that are in the mix that may end up on our ballots next year. And so this is troubling, both coming down from the federal level and also some of the activity we're seeing in the state. I have four things that I would want to do, or sort of be clear about. First, we have to protect student rights and staff rights. I think we can offer know your rights trainings. Some school districts around us, like Highline, have made those kind of trainings and information available to students. Seattle so far hasn't, but I think we should consider it. We absolutely, I should say to the side, we have to talk to legal counsel and make sure that whatever we're doing is allowable and legal. And to that end, I think we absolutely, as a school district, need to work with both the city of Seattle and our state attorney general and governor, because all of those entities have also said that they will resist some of the most threatening moves coming from Washington, D.C. And so how do we coordinate with them and sort of either be part of them or sort of also protected by their strong resistant efforts. And finally, I think we absolutely need to communicate to our students and families that we are doing everything we can to make the schools a safe and welcoming environment, because we don't want to see some of our students not showing up to get their education because they're fearful about what could happen at school. And so I think we need to be really transparent in our communications with our families.
Thank you very much. That's our four prepared questions. So now we will open it up for any follow-up or additional Q&A from the folks here. Can go through and raise their hands, and you'll have 1 minute to respond to each one. And we've got about 6 or 7 more minutes left, so time for a few questions. Anita, you have a question? Go ahead.
My question is how soon to notify parents of an event at school, like a gun was brought to school?
Well, right now, parents aren't notified on a regular basis. Mostly we are notified if there is, parents are notified if there is a lockdown, sometimes if there's a shelter in place, but it is not consistent. It is principal to principal. That data is actually not tracked because I've tried to get it from the school district. It's not tracked at the school district level in terms of the number of incidents that sort of shut down schools or freeze them in place. So they're working. I know they have I'm forgetting the name of, there's an app where they're trying to encourage students to do more reporting of incidents, etc. But I would say it's really school to school. It's not consistent. There's not good data. I don't have a good answer for that because I don't think it's well managed.
Thank you. Any additional questions? I've got one from a member who was not able to attend this afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and post it in the chat as well as I read it. In 2020, the school board enacted policy 4311, putting a moratorium on school resource officers, SROs, and promising alternatives to police in schools. Are you committed to upholding the moratorium on SROs and keeping the promise to invest in alternatives such as restorative justice practices and violence interruption programs to keep students safe?
I think there are multiple parts to that question. That policy also ended in perpetuity any communication between Seattle Public Schools and Seattle Police Department. And since that policy has been put in place, we've had more violent incidents against Seattle public school students and more deaths of Seattle public school students than any prior time. There is no communication allowed between Seattle Public Schools and Seattle Police Department. There's no other district in the United States that I know of that doesn't communicate with their public safety organization. I absolutely believe Seattle Public Schools, for the safety of every student and family, needs to have a functioning relationship with Seattle Police Department. As for SROs, they're now calling them SEOs, but it's a student engagement officers. I've been actively involved in conversations at Garfield where this is obviously a hot conversation. There's a conversation this evening about it. I think it really comes down to the MOU, and they're working closely with the community on the MOU, and I support that. The MOU is being led by the community.
Thank you. Do we have any additional questions from folks? All right, I'll go ahead and ask one more, just from a tactical, practical level. How do you look at the best way to keep in communication with students and parents and other folks that are your constituents as a school board member? How do you keep them updated? How do you get feedback from them? What's your plan?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about what will be most effective. I did work at Seattle Public Schools, and I worked with a number of school board members. Some who, obviously, I mean, some who were from your area up that way, like Peter Mayer. But and so I have some models of what I think has worked. Most of us have full-time jobs. It's a volunteer job with no compensation. And so I'm also mindful that I do have a full-time job. Sorry, that was my dog yawning. The way I'm thinking about it right now is threefold. One, currently there is no one who answers the school board at Seattle Public Schools email. And so I know that's a generic email, but we need to make a commitment to be responsive. And we need to figure out how we can, if we have to use technology, whatever. Number two, I would have a newsletter. And then the third is I would have office hours that can be either by Zoom and or live and in person. And those would be off my work hours.
Great answer.
Thank you. All right, I think we are just about coming into out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and we'll end this interview.